Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Alsip board meeting. Today's August 1st, 2022, and we'll call this meeting in order at 7:31 p.m. Can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Navasparza?
Here.
Trustee Parada?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with our officers' reports, starting with mine. A couple of quick notes. Please keep in mind this coming next month, September 16th, 17th, and 18th, from 8 in the morning till 5 at night. You can sign up online to participate at the for the Village of Alsip community-wide garage sale. So we do not require any permits for this event for 3 days of garage sales, and certainly to help all the everybody clean out their gently used goodies for everybody to take a look at throughout the community. Online, we will prepare, Becky told me, a list of participating folks that are going to have garage sales at their home, and you can access those as well online or at the Village Hall between, she's got on her sign up online, or at the Village Hall in between the glass doors, the glass doors of the Village up by the police station. We've got a kiosk up there, and you can go through that kiosk and use our computer to register your home online then too, if you didn't have a computer at your own home. So again, you can use the kiosk between the glass doors in the vestibule outside the police department. Next, I had a reminder as well. The Village of Alsip is participating with the Village Park District, Library, and Chamber of Commerce this coming next month, September 24th, from noon till 5 p.m. at 119th and Costner outside the Aquatic Center. There we're going to be having our Flannel Fall Fest. We're going to have live bands, crafters, a lumberjack show, hay rides, beer tent, food trucks are going to be available, family entertainment, and more. And it's supposed to be a great event. My assistant, Becky Smith, is a member on that committee, and she said it's shaping up to look really, really well. More advertising is going to start coming out. You'll start seeing it right now around town. So again, this is Flannel Fall Fest, September 24th from noon till 5 p.m. at the Aquatic Center at 119th and Costner. I did have a report here from Next Site. This is the organization we contracted with for economic development recruitment, and our person there, Charles Branch, said that he has been talking with realtors, trying to get more interest in trying to get more interest in the developing in the Village of Alsip. He says he reached out to our person, Andy Cohen. When I say our person, it's somebody we've worked with, who's also a retail developer, and sent him a customer journey analytics for property that's over near the Home Depot. I did talk to him about the Chateau Boucher properties, Contessa Del Mar properties, and others. And he says, well, the two of them, and right now they're looking at possibly a joint venture. I put the Economic Development Committee in on that email to let them know that I'm trying to connect two retail developers to see if we can get something going on Sister Avenue. He says, while they haven't connected yet, they will continue to reach out and discuss how they can be of assistance to the project that I recommended. He said at the end of this month, his team will be at the International, I believe that's the ICSC, is the International Convention Shopping Centers, which is in Florida, positioning Alsip developers. They also have the similar conference with the ICSC at the Chicago conference coming up October 27th. They will continue to have multiple developers reviewing information and sites at these, what they call a recon convention, conference in May. and opportunities will be discussed. Nothing definitive to report at this time. Specific developers moving forward, but I know Alsip is being reviewed. And finally, he says, he was asking me about more information on the onion field, which is obviously Condesta Del Mar. So I'm getting that information over to him, too. So nothing more. I know Trustee Navis-Perez, you talked to him last week, too, as well, he said.
Yes, I connected with Charles via phone. I had requested a summary of activities that had been executed by Nexsite, but he wanted to connect via phone, which I did. And he just meant, my question specifically was how many businesses were recruited by Nexsite and actually opened doors in our community. And he just mentioned that he was in conversation at one of the conferences that you mentioned with someone that was going to potentially locate here, but I think that they already had secured the property, the U.S. Bank property at the time. So,
right.
But he wasn't able to provide me with like an update in regards to what business was brought over by Nexsite. And I did mention to him the Condesa del Mar property, and then also the Chateau Boucher as well. So I'm not sure if anything else has come of that since I last spoke with him.
I don't think so. But, yeah, again, there's not a whole lot of development going on. I mean, there is. I should not, I'm saying commercially, it's been a little bit slow. Industrial-wise, we're still moving strong. Actually, today I went out and, well, I'd just say today I went out and visited the sites that are being prepped right now. Right now, the 8 acres at 3600 West 127th Street, they're actually removing all the concrete over there right now. They got a stone crushing machine out there going to be repurposing that same concrete for a new development of a 40,000 square foot logistics facility. And then I went back behind the Tarp House today. They're putting in, Roger, what is about a $3 million parking lot back there? That's,
The underground store, about
yeah.
$1 million.
It looks amazing. Half the parking lot, you see it's already striped and everything yet too. It looks great.
It does look great.
Yeah. I mean, these new panels that they put in for the water retention almost looks like solar panels that they put underground. It's an interesting system yet too, but a lot of development taking place in our town right now. So, and then finally, I sent something over. Trustee Perez, we can talk later. Did you see my email about the shred event?
Oh, yes, I have.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll talk later about it, but just so everybody knows, our state rep, Fran Hurley, and our state senator from the area, Senator Bill Cunningham, will be hosting a shred event for Alsip residents on September 17th at Apollo Park. I have another commitment that day in the village, but I can't be at that one, so I asked Trustee Peretta, Dave, if you're not available, let me know, and I can check with all the other trustees if anybody wants to be there. Or just let me know if you'd like to be there, trustees. Anybody wants to be there to represent us from 9 until 11 a.m. on September 17th. It's a Saturday. And actually, they're asking us to partner with them for this event, and they've got a shredding company lined up and everything else then, too. So please let me know, trustees, if anybody has any interest, and Dave, thanks. Yeah.
Yes, I'll let you know, Mayor.
Okay. So first item on your agenda this evening, actually, before I go to my reports with agendas, I want to mix this up just a little bit. We do have somebody on a Zoom call, and this way we can let this person go when we finish with it. Under the, I always like to be cognizant of folks' time, especially when we got a Zoom going here, but under standing committee reports for finance and IT, Trustee McLaurin, could you please introduce
Number 3.
number 3? Thank you.
Review and approval of OPEB trust investment allocation of 70% equities, 30% fixed investments. And we have a Zoom presentation on that.
Thank you. We have on Zoom, we have PFM, who is the winner of the bid for the OPEB trust investments, and Michelle Binns is going to be speaking with us, and Jeff Schroeder. And so I'm going to let Michelle talk. The biggest question we have tonight is how does the board want the allocation of the assets? And so I handed out the rough, high-level look at what it would be in terms of returns for a 65%, 65-35 split, 70-30 split, and a 75-25 split. And I'll let Michelle talk now.
Thank you so much, Joyce, and hello, everyone. Thank you for having us here this evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, wonderful. Well, again, thank you for having us here. I will do just brief introductions before we get into the meat of the discussion. I'm Michelle Binns. I'm a senior managing consultant with PFM Asset Management. I've been with the firm for 16 years, and I serve as a relationship manager for many of our Illinois local government clients. Here with me on the line, I have Jeff Schroeder. He's the managing director, and he runs our asset management business here in Illinois and Wisconsin. And then in perfect timing, we have Floyd Simpson, who joined the call, and he's the director in charge of multi-asset class investment strategies. So again, thank you for having us here. We're really excited to work with the village on your OPEB trust. Many Illinois governments are just kind of choosing to ignore the issue of OPEB, and so we really give kudos to the village for going ahead and setting up this trust. The meat of the discussion here today is to talk about asset allocation. And really, when you're thinking about these OPEB trust dollars, we want you to think of them kind of like you would the village's pension funds. They're a longer-term investment, a longer-term time horizon, more akin to pensions than your village's operating dollars. Operating dollars are going to be invested in cash and other short-term fixed income securities. This OPEB trust has this longer-term time horizon. You want it to grow, and so that therefore we believe that these types of assets should be invested more like pensions. Joyce handed out a snapshot to you. I don't have the ability to share it on the screen with me. I don't know if that's important, Joyce, or not.
No, they have a handout.
We see it, yes.
Okay, perfect. So we met with Joyce and Mayor Ryan just a couple weeks ago and really talked about what was important to the village and what were the goals and objectives for this money. And Joyce really wanted to target a 7% return in order to drive that liability downward. And so we talked about a couple different options. You'll see them here on this slide. So putting in that 7% return objective and putting it in with our model with our capital market assumptions. We came out with 3 different options, but our recommendation is to go with that middle option, that 70-30 model, so that's 70% equities, 30% fixed income. And really the main reason why is if you go down that middle column below the second yellow line, you'll see that expected long-term expected return. So we believe with this type of allocation that we could achieve that 7% return in the OPEB trust. So we're coming to the board asking for your approval to move forward with the 70-30 allocation, and if we get that approval, then this allocation will be memorialized in your investment policy statement, and we'll manage to that going forward. But happy to certainly answer any questions or talk about anything in more detail if the board would like to. So
very quickly, Michelle, we record all these meetings. These are actually on a YouTube that folks can pull up when they need. And just so everyone at home and in our audience understands, what we're talking about is an OPEB trust. That's OPEB. That's other post-employment benefits. And what that means is that these are costs the village is responsible for, both for retirement, and both for folks that are already retired from the village, folks that are going to be retiring from the village. We have an actuary that determines those costs, and we've saved money. It's been earmarked for the last handful of years to make this investment, and what we're being presented with, this is the first time we're taking these monies to invest these monies, and hopefully with our return on investment is going to grow and take more pressure off the cost, or off our shoulders, I should say, of trying to afford those costs later in life, and that we're responsible for. Currently, we've got a funding policy that's a whole different aspect that We are taking responsibility for all this debt, but with the money that we have, Joyce, our initial investment is about $25 million.
Correct.
That's going to be invested. So we've got three opportunities here to either go with something more conservative with a 65-35 split, 65 being equity investment, 35 being fixed income. Then you've got the middle one, it's a little more aggressive at a 70-30 share, and then finally a little more of an aggressive investment at a 75-25 investment there then too. The first one, the 65-35 share, we're looking hopefully over 30 years of maybe a 6.8 return on that investment. The second one was 70-30 share is about a 7% return on investment, and the more aggressive, which 7.1 might not seem like a much of a difference, it certainly is when it's a 75-25 share. So that's what the board is being presented with. It's on our agenda for this evening, Joyce, right, for approval.
Yes.
And Joyce has indicated here the 70-30, it doesn't necessarily have to be, and that's the choice of the board, which is why we're being
Correct.
told this evening.
Correct.
Board, did you have any questions for Michelle or her team? I met with Jeff and Floyd, but they were, like she said, a couple weeks ago we met on this. Gentlemen, maybe Jeff or Floyd or certainly Michelle, even like in a tough, what might, just for maybe a lot of the novices, and with the possibility of a recession moving forward, I know you've got just it broken down for our choices in this case, but do we risk more with the potential for stocks going bad? I mean, everybody looks at on the small paper of like 401ks are getting beat up right now and so forth. How does this shake up any differently?
Defer to you, Floyd, on that one.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Michelle. When thinking about this portfolio, remember, your 401ks you look at essentially almost every year, or for some people every day. This money you're actually setting aside, and your goal is, to fund liabilities for 30 plus years. So when you're thinking about it, the one question to ask yourself, and to take a step back, would be, is essentially the market going to move up over the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, and 30 years? If the answer is yes, in which is that's what you want this money for, and that's what it's supposed to do, then you're not worried about the momentary time of. Now, to your point, I'm not going to downplay that because I do think that's that's a legitimate that is a legitimate headwind. But if you're looking at it and saying this money is going for opportunities and things that we need to fund for 10, 20, 30 30 years out. Trying to time an investment today, you really want to work. You really just want to get in the market. You're getting still in the market at a very low. If you think about it in comparison to what it was at the beginning of the year or even 2 years ago, so you are getting at a low point. Now the question is, more of, okay, well, I want to be able to get in at a really good point, which is what you're doing. And I know it's going to be there for 10, 20, 30 years, so that's you're achieving the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Okay. And again, this is obviously it's a huge investment.
It is.
When I came in office 5 years ago, we were 120 million plus in unfunded debt. We've combated that through policy. These monies here are going to take even more weight off our shoulders because of which, and which is why this is the first time we're investing in something like this to help ourselves.
We are currently under what's called pay-as-you-go. So we pay whatever the actuaries come up with every year as to what we should fund this with. And so this puts us in a different position in terms of now they're going to be calculating this return into what we're contributing to the OPEB trust. And it greatly reduces our liability for that contribution. So as an example, instead of 2.7 million or 2.6, whatever we have in there right now that we are contributing, we're going to be able to drop this to about 1.5, 1.6. So this big drop in our contribution if we put this money to work for us. That's the objective.
Exactly. It's like anything else. Do you want a 15-year mortgage or do you want a 30-year mortgage? And it'll afford you more with that opportunity. We're not putting out so much
Correct.
every year.
Correct.
Trustees, any questions for PFM? No? How about, just so we get a consensus here too, is everyone okay with the 70-30? Because this is going to be on, Joyce, do you have this on for a vote this evening too?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is everyone okay with the 70-30, or do you want to be more conservative at 65-35?
I'll just say my preference is 65-35. I'm very risk adverse.
Okay.
How come you didn't ask for the 75-25?
I tell you, like Floyd said, I'm not that guy that looks at my 401k every day, but when it shows up, Floyd, I'm not a happy camper, I can tell you that, so, no, I'm not about risk at this time. I'm
I
more of a
understand.
conservative right now and stuff, then, too.
We wanted to have the comparison so you could see the difference.
Yeah. What we'll do, certainly, everyone from PFM, certainly we're going to leave it as Joyce drafted it at a 70-30 share. Certainly, if any of the trustees wish to pull that item for discussion and possible change in that, we'll do so on its face here this evening then, too. But we're going to leave it as it stands like right now until we take a vote on this later in the meeting. Okay. But again, anything else you folks want to add? Anything else you wanted to tell us at all before we cut out? No?
Thank
Okay.
you very much for the opportunity, and we look forward to working with you for many years to come on this.
We appreciate it. We had a great meeting, too, with all you folks when you came in, and we appreciate the hard work. This isn't, we did go out to an RFP, not a lot of response, but we appreciate the effort on your company's, on your firm's behalf, and looking forward to, the same as you said, Michelle, looking forward to working with you folks real soon.
Have a
Okay.
great meeting.
You also,
Thank you so much.
thank you for
Thank you,
being with us
Michelle.
tonight.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Floyd. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we'll go back to the rest of our agenda. First on the reports this evening, under my report for mayor, approval to have the village attorney draft an ordinance where the village of Alsip will assume the cost of training for a CDL, that's a commercial driver's license, to operate village-owned equipment when a newly hired employee is required to have a CDL. The affected department supervisor and the human resource manager will agree on a training facility to utilize grant programs should they be available. If the employee resigns from the village within 24 months of receiving the CDL, the employee must repay the village for the CDL cost, including forfeiture of a final check if necessary. I brought this up in committee a few weeks ago, and did anybody have any questions on this at all? No?
Isn't wage garnishment against law?
I think, more to my point, was just an employment agreement. We can have our attorney draft that. Okay. How about from the department heads? Is that pretty much what you folks are looking for too? Yeah. Okay. Police department, you guys don't have anything with the CDL, do you, Jay or Chief? No? Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Then we'll go on to the clerk's report. Clerk Harding.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the presentation and approval of the July 18th, 2022 board meeting minutes and the presentation and approval of the June 2022 IDOT motor fuel tax allotment in the amount of $67,175.03. And that is all I have, Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have the attorney's report. We have Beth Adder with us tonight. Beth?
I have nothing to report this evening.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go to our engineer's report. Will Dolan?
No report tonight, Mayor.
Thanks, Will. Well, I'm sorry I'm beating up on you all the time with some of these different grants. I was on Grant Finder earlier today, checking on a few things, but I did see last Thursday they had the Invest in Cook recipients came out. They did not take our application this year, but the Park District got money for bike path or something like that.
I think it was part of the CalSAG.
Yes. That was, It was a Kelsey bike path, that's what I saw. But anyway, yeah, it's design engineering that they were going for. So is that you too, Will? Do you get to work, is that part of you?
It's not us, no.
Okay.
I heard on the news that we received a sidewalk grant.
Oh, we did get a sidewalk grant, but this was Invest in Cook. We were trying to get streets resurfaced over in the industrial park over in Lombard and Kedvale, and we were shooting for. We're certainly going to go ahead again, and we had some great help from IDOT in the last couple of weeks with an application on our capital bills for more street resurfacing too. So it's looking good. Oh, Will, what's the deal? I should ask too, and I meant to report this is now that the strike is over and the quarries. Is the work kicking off again now? I'm sure there's a big line, you know?
Exactly. There's a big line. Within the next couple of weeks, I think you're going to start seeing things pick up again.
Okay. Our street resurfacing was in jeopardy because of the strike at the quarries, and there's so many projects being backed up, we didn't know if we'd get it. Is there a chance we can still get our streets done this year?
Yeah, you should.
Good,
You should get
okay.
done. We're trying to set up a pre-construction meeting for this week or next week, so.
Okay, yeah, let me know. Well, thanks. We'll go to our public forum. Did anyone in the audience wish to address the board tonight? Ma'am, please.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. I appreciate everybody's public service. My name is Carla Rodriguez. I live at 4819 West Maple Road. I own a condo in that area. My son and I are both registered voters.
Okay.
Registered voters. I just wanted to come by and say thank you. I'm usually working on a Monday night or in class. But I wanted to say thank you to Secretary and his assistant who's kindly follow up regarding matters regarding the safe housing program. They've been very cognizant of reaching out to my condo association because there's a number of units that are not within village ordinance. And so I really appreciate their efforts and assisting with that. In addition to, you had mentioned streets being done. Over a year ago, I think it was, there was some sewer work being done between along the water reclamation. There's a little stream there, went through my driveway and then through another sewer thing. Lo and behold, they worked there all week. There's a semi-trailer truck that backed up. It belongs to the apartment complex adjacent to our building. And so they backed it up, found all this work, and that's going to break. I called the police. They came, addressed the matter. They really didn't do anything at that hour. However, a miracle happened by later on in the week or that month. There were signs along across that, and it says no semi-trailer parking over here at all. So I just want to acknowledge.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they were going to crush what they were doing. Yeah.
Now and then I've seen other trucks on the street, but I guess that guy got in trouble in the past for being on the street itself. But I did want to say that I acknowledge everything that's being done. Every time I've been here before to acknowledge that if I pass through the street light, that's been addressed. Any markings on the street, it's all been addressed. And I don't know if you guys hear a lot of negative stuff, but I just want to let you know that I really appreciate that. But this past week, I want to say thank you to the Department of Streets and Sanitation. I don't know if they're here today.
Yeah, Public Works. Yeah.
They're phenomenal. I was privileged to speak with Janet, who assisted with final arrangements for a possum that met its demise right there on LaCrosse and 128th Street. Saw his little body there and called Janet. She addressed the matter immediately. Make sure he got a proper burial. So I didn't want to come by and say thank you for that.
That's a first, Carla. We don't get those all the time. Like, get this critter out of the street, but you want to make sure he was taken care of properly, and so that's good. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Put it on Facebook families of the families.
Okay.
It sounds like a lot of people do have an interest in our.
Well, sure.
So thank you. That was all.
Oh, no worries. No, we appreciate the nice comments and everything too, and you're exactly right. I express that to our board all the time, and to the men as well, and the women that work here, that no, their work is greatly appreciated, and certainly I can be as much a pain as the homeowners because I'm the one accepting the call all the time, but I'll relay it to everybody, and they certainly take care of it right away too. So we've got some great policies in place. to deal with matters right away, and if we can't fix something right away, we have it on record why we couldn't take care of it right away then, too, so.
Can I call too? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what's the new slang today to call Karen? I don't want to disrespect them, Karen, but Mrs. Kravitz.
Oh,
When
yeah.
I see something, police and my alderman, or whatever, trustees cannot be in our neighborhood. You know, we're in this together, and I like my community. I've asked for other stuff like the garbage dumpster cover area. That's phenomenal.
Right.
I look forward to seeing more of that, and so the garbage does not fall into
Well, now,
into the water reclamation stream there.
and now the new thing, even with those two, the board, early, maybe like last Christmas, we passed something that we're giving multifamily units a year, and once we meet with them, depending on the schedule for the inspector all the time, but we're actually putting garbage corrals now around all the garbage cans, so that you don't have all the loose stuff laying all over the place. We've got more of a signatory spot where everything goes, and to beautify the community a little bit too, because there's a couple of areas where the cans are out to the street, and I get it, they're trying to maximize their parking space, but it looks horrible, and there's bees and everything else. It's like, let's contain some of that a little bit.
And they're lucky they're not in a community where that, if it's on the street and within a certain amount of time, you're going to get a fine. So we don't have that, not that I know of.
Right.
So I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you. No, thanks for coming out and saying so.
I'd be here even if I had concern.
Okay, well, usually, yeah, I know. We'll leave it at that. Everything's good.
Yeah, it's all great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
I
Carla.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, you also. Next, we'll go to anybody else want to talk to the board tonight? All right. Thank you. So we'll go to our next agenda item, this will be standing committee reports, finance and IT. Trustee McGlohorn.
First, I have a request for approval of a list of payroll dated July 29th, 2022, totaling $407,003.81. Next, I have a request for approval of a list of accounts payable dated August 1st, 2022, totaling, or from the recap, General Fund, $203,664.75. Road and Bridge, $9,398.72. Storm Sewer, $1,046.64. MFT, $5,693.53. Pulaski Road Corridor TIF, $352 even. Liability and workers' comp insurance, $38,750.60. Water and sewer, $18,168.97. Sanitary sewers, $2,005.24. Heritage, $161,609.70. Retiree health insurance, $43,873.91, for a grand total all funds of $484,564.06. Item number 3 on the agenda, we've already done.
Trustee, can I interrupt you for just a moment?
Sure.
I would like to introduce our new staff accountant to everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to let everyone know who Lucretia is. Lucretia Hampton joined us about a month ago, and she has been diligently working, getting us going again, and so she's learning the chart of accounts and everything else along with it, and I really appreciate her being on board. So I just want to put a face with a name so you all knew who she was.
Lucretia, that was like one of your first meetings that we did with PFM yet too, right? When we were in for that meeting? Yeah. Yeah. But no, thank you for joining our team here then too. I hope everything's going well upstairs. Thank you. Thanks, Lucretia.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Trustee.
Okay, item number 4, review and approval of purchase of Brightly Asset Management Software for $65,228.02 for a 3-year contract, which includes implementation costs of $9,596.33. Next, we also have the review and approval of the April 30th, 2021. Is it
Correct.
really 21?
Yeah.
Okay. Fire GASB 67 and 68 actuarial report and tax levy actuarial report. Next is the review and approval of the April 30th of 2021 Police GASB 67 and 68 actuarial report and tax levy actuarial report. Next, review and approval of new gas contract recommendation with motion to allow the mayor to approve contract if prices fluctuate by 5 cents per therm. New pricing to be delivered at the Monday meeting.
Did you have a price on that, Joyce?
I
Just
do, I
yet?
have it here.
Okay.
I gotta find my folder. Oh, here. There's more. Were you just
Oh,
reading?
no,
through, or you-
well,
I was
let's
waiting
let's
on the
hear
gas
number that you
pricing
had,
while
yeah.
we're on that topic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joyce, who's doing our actuarial?
Lauterbach and Amon.
Lauterbach and Amon, okay.
Thank you.
No. Thank you.
I actually spoke with Molly this afternoon. She is our broker with Satori, and she was saying that she recommended that there be a fluctuation between 65 and 75 cents. We're looking at 66 cents right now as the cheapest. So she was going to give some leeway because the gas contract, the gas prices are changing hourly.
This is natural gas too, folks, just so everybody knows.
Yes, natural gas. The gas prices are changing rapidly, and they fluctuate constantly. So even if you agreed to a price tonight, it would not be the price at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So that's why we're looking for a motion to allow the mayor to sign a contract, given a range of prices, so that we can get this locked in. This contract is over with on August 12th. So we're kind of under the gun. We cannot go to another board meeting. We'll not make it. So that's why we need to have some leeway to see how things are going to go.
Okay. And you had one more, Trustee McGlohorn?
Yep, item number 8, review and approval of a PTAB settlement docket number 18-34053 for 5859 West 117th Place, Alsip, Illinois, for the 2018 assessed value of $185,000.
So that is, and just so folks understand, that while we just give an address, that is a commercial business that contested their,
Property assessment.
Yeah,
Of
property
appraisal.
tax assessment, thank you. I always get hung up on my acronyms here all the time, yeah, too, so, okay. Anything else, trustee?
No, that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the fire committee report, trustee Murphy.
I have no report tonight, Mayor.
All right. Trustee, I did hear, we had our staff meeting last week, and fire chief said that the rescue squad and the ambulance chassis came in, both are being built at this time, so not sure when we're going to get them, another month or so out from possibly getting those. Next, we'll go to the police and traffic safety report, trustee Dalzell.
The request for approval to move forward with the Minuteman Technologies to supply the LPR cameras for Phase 1 Pulaski Road area. It includes the installation of 10 cameras, the price of $92,968.75. Camera software, which is $5,800, recurring at $580 per camera per year. Live stream software option was $10,453.69. That includes up to 50 cameras. Included in that RFP, as I recall, didn't include the installation costs or engineering fees, right?
Correct.
So we're going to be on the hook for an additional X number of dollars. Number 2 is the request for approval of 2 personnel to attend the IPSA 2022 911 conference in Springfield, which is held October 23rd through 26th. It says here the cost per attendee is not to exceed $150. That full conference price is $175.
Last I checked, it was $150 per attendee for the early bird registration. So it changes to $175, I guess.
And the lodging not to exceed $400. Number 3, the request to purchase 6 police radios from Motorola Solutions at a cost not to exceed $41,000. It's a part of the capital budget plan for this year. Number 4 is a request to purchase 5 in-car cameras from Axon Enterprises at a cost not to exceed $40,000. It's $38,737.19. It's a one-time cost, plus the software, which is not to exceed $3,600 annually. Software will be utilized with the implementation of the body cams at the same cost. Number 5, the National Light Out being held Tuesday, August 2nd, tomorrow, at 1930 South Costner. So you'll be giving out the Icy Pops, hot dogs, and kids' bike safety equipment. August 8th and 9th, the department will be conducting its annual rapid deployment active shooter training at the Hamlin School. We thank Hamlin School for allowing us to use their facility. Lastly, the department recently received a notice from the Bureau of Justice that a grant application under the Northern and Middle States Rural Law Enforcement Assistance Program has been approved for an award. As part of this project, the department had requested $140,617 for Phase 2 of the LPR Reader Program on Cicero Avenue. At this point, we have not yet been notified if this is a partial award or awarded in full. Either way, the chief is proud of the agency's accomplishment in regards to the grant, most notably Lieutenant Emick, who organized the application data. Chief, do you want to speak to any of these other issues?
No, I would have saved you some breath, but you took them all. We're good.
I always want, I'm big on acronyms all the time, so everybody, what we're talking about, number 1, LPR is license plate reader, so that's what we've got funding for now that the chief's asking for approval for. That's for Pulaski Road, and as they said in the last part, Trustee Dalzell said in the last part, we requested additional for Cicero Avenue, and that's pending right now, Chief? That's what you're saying?
Correct. We've been awarded something. We just don't know if it's the full amount or half of that or what.
$140,000. We're waiting for final approval from them.
That'll be another couple of weeks before they give us the final number.
It's a great concept in fighting crime right now is license plate readers. And then finally, I did mention to the trustees before this meeting started, Chief and Deputy Chief, that you parked one of our new squad cars out in front. So this is the first year we've gone to a Dodge product, and we've got a Dodge Durango squad car fully outfitted sitting out in front. If anybody wants to take a look at it, sitting out in front tonight then too. No Hemi on this thing, right, Chief?
No, I mean,
all right, I don't think that's necessary. I think we'll get there.
The mayor didn't drive it.
They parked it in the...
Yeah, the other mayor got it. That kind of thing. Yeah.
I just had a question. Is your fundraiser, the Cop on a Roof, still happening later?
It is.
Okay.
Yep. I don't remember the specific date, but it's not till, I think, the end of August.
I did it last time, so I volunteered. So if it...
You'll be invited again.
Okay, thank you. Look forward to it.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Next, we'll go to our Public Work and Boat Launch Report Committee.
I'll take that. Presentation and approval of the Public Works Department June 2022 monthly activity report. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, Sewer and Water, Trustee Navas-Barza.
I don't have a formal report, but I just wanted to acknowledge an act of kindness that I saw, or someone also informed me of, that a resident wasn't able to pay their bill, and another resident stepped in and paid their water bill for them. So thank you to that individual that did that. That was really, really kind, and I think we all appreciate that. And I just wanted to share just a bit of good news, and that's all I have.
Good to hear. We do have, I talked to Superintendent Frater today. We've got all the permits and all the teams lined up. We're just scheduling now, hopefully tomorrow, so we're going to tackle that collapsed sewer line in a remote area back like 130th and Ridgeway back there yet too. But I was back there today, and we got to hit that thing right now, so. But all the contractors have been lined up. It took a little bit with the railroads to get us all of our permitting, and they got to still build us a ramp to get over the rail spur to get in there. But Mike's all over that. I just want to let the board know that we're doing our best to take care of that right away. And a couple of the companies, they've got trucks out there pumping out their sewer lines right now to keep that line as available as possible. Right, Mike? Okay. And I did start a insurance claim too, in case, for what we're going to be looking at. So we're doing everything we can on our side. Next, the Building and Health Report, Trustee Pareto.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Good evening, everybody. I have a request for approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip amending ordinance number 2021-07-02, an ordinance granting a special use permit authorizing the repair and storage of trucks and trailers for the property located at 12400 South Cicero Avenue, Alsip, Illinois. And that's all I have, Mayor.
And again, I know there's a lot of words in the ordinance on that, but basically what we're doing on that amendment is we're authorizing a one-year extension for them to build. The trucking dealership's already there. All the paving, everything else has been taken care of. They just spent, $3.5 million on the underground parking lot, water retention. They're just asking for an additional year to get the sound fence up there. It'd be like a 13-foot fence between the business and all the homes over there, and that's quite a bit. It's almost $500,000 worth of fence that they got to put up. So that's what we're authorizing here. The truck business is already there, the dealership. Next, we'll go to Human Resource and Insurance. Trustee Murphy.
I have approval to hire a new human resources manager. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. We'll go to Special Committee Reports, Economic Development. Trustee Nava Esparza.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any items to be voted on this evening, but I do have some updates. I connected with Asha Barnes from CMAP, which is the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, on Friday via phone. Asha had reached out via email regarding ADA municipal compliance, specifically asking if we could, if the village has identified an ADA coordinator, which usually is an HR manager, if we've completed an ADA self-evaluation, and also if we had an ADA transition plan. CMAP will be distributing a small survey with some of these questions included, and I asked Asha if she had any information that I can share with the board, and she did share that at this time they're trying to develop informational material and content to share to educate municipalities about the ADA municipal compliance and the activities that need to be executed. So once she shares that information with me, I'll be happy to share that and forward that. I did see that information also in the IML magazine as well, something that we do receive. And I think that they're just also doing their part in reaching out. Also, I did mention, and the mayor mentioned that I communicated with Charles Branch from Nexite, and I just wanted to highlight to Mr. Branch, I wanted to know what the efforts were that they've executed and so forth, and my own opinions, and I think the strategy that we as a village should enact in regards to trying to recruit businesses and also revitalization efforts as well. So it was a good conversation. Hopefully I'll have more information to share if he's able to provide me with a summary report, that way I can share with the board. And lastly, the Illinois Municipal Conference is coming up in September, and I'll either ask to put that on the agenda to see if any other members would be attending, but I plan to attend.
You know what? I actually, I had that on my notes here too. Was the 109th annual IML conference that will be held at the Chicago Hilton Hotel as they do each year. This year will be September 15th through 17th, and so please let my office know if you'd like to attend, and we'll get it scheduled and so forth then too. Okay. We don't provide any overnight stay. We're close enough. We can commute. And I didn't see a mention of who the keynote speaker is this year, but they get some good speakers once in a while there yet too. Okay. But I go to them every year. I find them very informational. I think it's a good meeting to go to.
Okay. And then one more item that I had is that I am interested in regards to addressing some of the connectivity issues, specifically along 119th Street, east of Pulaski. And so I'll ask for the board to consider approving a feasibility study to be done before we move forward and see if it makes sense to create a plan in regards to connectivity within our residential community in the eastern side of Pulaski, but also to set us up in the event that there's grant monies to offset some of the costs. I know there was a Safe Passage grant that was awarded on the west side of Pulaski to see that, that we have all our documents or our ducks in a row to then be eligible for grant funding if the opportunity arises. So I'll bring that up for discussion the next committee. And that's all I have.
I think the reason we did we identified Midtown, and let's put it this way, $250,000 doesn't go very far with sidewalks, that's for sure. But we're only getting 2 blocks, I think, Mike, on Leclerc Street, right from 115th to 117th with sidewalks. We're kind of doing fill-ins, because a home built after, what year was it? If your home was built after what year, you had to have a sidewalk, but almost everybody over in Hazel Green doesn't have a sidewalk.
It's either 73 or 75.
Yeah, so we're going way back to the 70s. But yeah, certainly your point's well taken. If we can certainly apply for the grants if they're out there, but we're going to do some sidewalks coming down from 115th to 117th, and then they're going to go eastbound to Lawler, where Hazel Green School is at. And then we've got another one that's going to complete, because there's no sidewalk right here near 119th Place between Keeler and Costner to provide for safe passages as well. There's no sidewalk to get you to Prairie Junior High, but as you said, we can certainly look at more areas. That's as much money as they gave us. That's as far as we can get. But no, we can certainly keep applying for safe passage.
But I think, wasn't both of those, though, part of Safe Schools as opposed to...
Safe routes to schools, yes. Yeah, there's a bunch of terms. That's what I was saying earlier, and we were trying to get something for Invest in Cook. There's a lot of different grants. I was on Grant Finder today trying to find some more opportunities for us there, too. So, well, thank you, Trustee. Village Properties, Trustee McLaurin.
I have a request for approval to award the contract for the Heritage One fence replacement to the lowest bidder, which was Fence Masters, Inc., in the amount of $240,609 even. That's all I have there.
I'm sorry, Roger, you and I were going to meet on that, and the both of us have just had a full plate. I wanted to talk to you last week about this. Trustees, just my opinion, you folks approve expenditures here. I vote in the event of a tie, but certainly I've been questioning whether or not we make this expense at this time, or do we wait and see if this market doesn't level off a little bit. Right now, building materials are still at a peak, and again, I don't want to throw... Certainly, nobody wants to spend more money than they should. So if the board is comfortable with this number, so be it. If the board wishes to pull, we can always pull it and rebid it at another date.
I actually have it already circled to pull for separate vote at the time we get there.
That's your prerogative, sure. But I just want to express my thoughts. Roger, I'm sorry you and I didn't talk more in private about it, but again, we both had a full plate lately, and you're as busy as I am and stuff, so thank you. I did tell you that, though. I don't want to blind say at a meeting. I did tell you that and stuff, so, on the phone, so, thank you. Next, we had ordinance and legislation. Trustee Parada.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I have a request for approval of an ordinance granting a special use permit to allow the use and operation of a tire sales and minor automotive repair facility, granting sign variations and granting a height variation for the property located at 4839 West 111th Street, Alsip, Illinois. Second, I have a request for an approval of an ordinance granting salary increases and establishing compensation for certain non-union employees and appointed officers of the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois. And that concludes my requisitions.
Two things I want to bring up to your board and share with the public as well, too. That address that you're looking at for the tire sales and minor auto repair, that did receive a unanimous vote of approval from our Plan Commission. That will be a new Bell Tire store being constructed where the Baker Square used to stand. Right. So they're going to put up a 9,800 square foot store. I believe it's going to have 10 bays on it, something like that. And a great addition to our community. Bell Tires are they're a great dealership, so I hope that gets through. And then on the salary adjustments, is it the wish of the board? I just noticed this just now as I was reading this on here. We didn't have anything about it being retro to May 1 is typical. Does the board wish to amend that to reflect a May 1 date?
I would recommend it.
I would agree. By consensus. Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
You're okay?
Yes, I agree.
Everybody? Okay. So we're going to add that Beth on its face, and just to make it retro May 1, okay?
The only other thing on that ordinance, Mayor, is
Yes.
I believe Section 19 is incorrect. That was last year's contract rate.
We don't have a new contract yet, trustee, but when we do, we can adjust it. I did look at that. We don't have a new contract rate
Okay.
for it yet. We're meeting tomorrow with ASME, but until that gets resolved, then we can adjust this
Okay.
accordingly.
I was thinking we had one more year on the current
No,
schedule.
I actually pulled up the contract and it stopped at 22.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then we'll go to planning and zoning and licenses. Trustee Juarez Mendoza, just not here, committee?
I have that. Presentation and approval of list of licenses dated Monday, July 11th, 2022 through Friday, July 29th of 2022. And within those licenses, I would like to welcome Scissor Hands to town, located at 12246 South Pulaski. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Do they do bushes?
Is that the place that, it sounded like the same name of the place in Oak Lawn that just caught fire, right?
Same name.
Same place?
I don't know
Okay.
if it's the same owner, but it's
Okay.
the same name.
All right, well, thank you. Did anybody have any presentations or petitions they wanted to share? No? Did anyone wish to remove anything from consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to remove F as in Frank, G as in George, J as in jam, and R as in, I don't know, R.
Okay, anybody else? I'm sorry, R as well?
R, yes.
Okay.
R as in Roger.
Can we amend item A to strike that, including forfeiture, their final paycheck? And item M, the cost to Teddy, change it from 150 to 175, please.
Okay, so we're going to strike the forfeiture,
Please?
and like I said, we'll get an employment agreement.
Yeah, the legalese is right, you know, I mean, just,
Because we haven't drafted this yet.
Not that I'm aware of.
No, we haven't, we're just asking for approval to do it.
Right,
that's all.
right.
So we're just going to include, like a hiring agreement with that.
Yeah,
To cover
thank you.
those costs. And what was the other, trustee?
M as in Mary,
M, change it to
150 to 175, please.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, can I get a motion then to, go ahead.
Oh, you already took it out, I apologize. Thank you.
Did I skip something?
Can I get a motion then to establish the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call number 1 to establish consent agenda. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas Esparza.
Yes.
Trustee Peretta.
Yes.
Motion carries to establish consent agenda.
Thank you. Can we get a motion then to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, before we do the roll call, item P as in Paul, approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip amending ordinance number 2021-07-02, an ordinance granting a special use permit authorizing the repair and storage of truck and trailers for the property located at 12400 South Cicero Avenue, Alsip, Illinois, will now be known as ordinance 2022-08-1. Item S as in Sam, approval of an ordinance granting a special use permit to allow the use and operation of a tire sales and minor automotive repair facility, granting sign variations and granting a height variation for the property located at 4839 West 111th Street, Alsip, Illinois, will now be known as ordinance 2022-08-2. And item T as in Tom, approval of an ordinance granting salary increases and establishing compensation for certain non-union employees and appointed officers of the Village of Alsip, Cook County, Illinois, will now be known as Ordinance 2022-08-3. 2022-08-3 with the modification of retro to May 1st, 2022. Roll call number 2 to approve consent agenda. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas Barza.
Yes.
Trustee Peretta.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve consent agenda.
All right, thank you. We'll go back to a couple of items that were removed. First was letter F, the approval of the OPEB trust investment allocation of 70% equities, 30% fixed investments. Trustee McLaughlin had pulled that. Before we have any discussion on this, did we have a motion and a second to approve this item? No? All right, I'm going to allow questions before we let this die, because I know there was a question as far as allocations were concerned. So Trustee McLaurin, you pulled it. Did you have a question?
I pulled it because I would like to get the opinion of the board in terms of the percentage splits. I know my personal preference is to go with 65-35, but I didn't know what anybody else's thoughts were.
Anyone else have an opinion on the split of what we were handed here? It was a 65-35 split versus a 70-30 versus a
70-30 and
75-25.
Yep.
I think with the market the way it is low now, I feel it would do nothing but go up at this point, and I think we should be a little more aggressive in our contributions and potential for paying down debt. So I would agree with the 70-30.
Okay.
I'm fine with the 70-30 as well.
Okay.
I like being down the middle of the road, Mayor, so I'm good with the 70-30.
Okay. Well then, did anyone wish to make the motion and second to approve the 70-30 as is drafted?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call number 3 to approve item F, approval of OPEB trust investment allocation of 70% equities, 30% fixed investments. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin.
No.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas Barza.
Yes.
Trustee Peretta.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve item F.
All right, thank you. Go to the next item. Letter G was the approval to purchase Brightly Asset Management Software for $65,228 for a 3-year contract that includes the implementation cost of $9,596.33 as well. Again, before we vote on it, before we take any questions, was there a motion and a second to approve this item?
I'll make the motion.
Was there a second?
I'll second it.
Trustee Dalzell did?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, yeah, I'm going to go back. Trustee McLaughlin, you had pulled this. Did you have questions on it?
No, Mayor, I made my opinion clear that I think we need to do the general ledger before we invest inside software. I think the general ledger is a much higher priority for us. And there are software options available that include this kind of package with it. So
Okay.
I still think we're putting the cart before the horse.
Okay.
I mean,
Anybody else have a question?
and just a comment, I think it's pretty clear that I've been very vocal in regards to my support of giving the department heads what they need. So it seems that they advocated, they've done their due diligence, they've asked other neighbors, I'm not sure if I missed anyone else on the checklist and so forth, so I put my trust in them and giving them a tool that they need. And just the resident that came up and highlighted some of the items that she brought to our attention, if there's an easier way to get that information and for us to be responsive as a village, I think that why not explore that opportunity?
Thank you. Any other comment from the trustees?
I mean, I was on both sides of this thing, and again, you have a lot of department heads that are saying they're in favor of it, and that's the reason why I'm moving forward with the idea for it. I agree with the trustee with regards that I, too, think that rather than having a bunch of disparate software, have a unified software. Problem is that once we go to anything, whether it's the LPR systems or the asset management software, once we kind of get embedded into that, then we have a mindset, and we don't want to sit there and waste the monies that we had expended for that, and we continue to plod along, sometimes in contradiction to where it is that we wanted to be looking forward. But I don't know where we are with the general ledger software, how far we've investigated that, and that's going to be a whole bunch of money as well. So rather than making snap decisions, we beat this horse pretty well.
I think what did it for me, and we've had enough presentations and many committee meetings over the last few months, is I'm always trying to, like we should look down the road to see where we need to be as far as data retention, and that's where they got my attention on this matter, was whether it's knowing where we made multiple water main repairs, if are they side by side on a block? Do we need to look at entire streets? It's always about handing the baton off to somebody else, where right now we've got some really qualified department heads, and we'd like to think they're going to be here forever, but they won't. And I'd like to think that we want to be more of a paperless. Well, I'm just being a realist, I mean, I'd like to be here forever too, and but what you call it? We want to just easily, and more, not so much even just for yourselves, gentlemen. That we have some department heads in the audience this evening, but for your employees, that they've got easy access to the data they need, especially in your absence. I mean, you guys are allowed to take a few days off and stuff, and if you're not here, what do they have to work with? And I don't want to see them buried in your office going through your files and everything else trying to find something, or files in general. Let's get, I tell you, we really we did well this week so far. We're putting together a great scenario right now with some properties that are in town that have data that goes back 20 years, and we couldn't get the right amount of data. And Roger Early and I found some stuff last week that just jumped up, and this is all just through files that were in a storage bin in the garage that are now being digitally captured with Laserfiche and whatnot, and it's working wonderful. And I tell you, it means the world that when you put professional hours behind something like that, that we're not going to lose professional hours going through a garage, dusting off files that are 20 years old and everything then too. So that's where it kind of got me. We can certainly, trustees, we can modify this equipment, we can design it accordingly to give us the greatest use of this equipment without basically just giving away the store to folks that are not qualified to handle, or basically aren't qualified to work with this. We're going to be training our staff to work with all these kind of products there too. So I appreciate the support and the opinion of the department heads. Leon is in the audience tonight. Leon is our IT associate. Anything you want to comment on this too, Leon? You did all the background, where you looked at 3 or 4 different vendors for this. What do you think?
I probably looked at 10.
10?
And, going to the ERP side of this, ERP systems technically aren't designed to do everything. ERP systems do accounting very well. They do inventory very well. But when it comes to managing the village side of it, where you can actually have residents come in and interact with the village without anyone filling any paperwork out, have it flow through into that system itself, you probably won't find that in the ERP system. Now, I can talk about the 3 companies that we ended up with at the end. I would say Brightly is probably the most user-friendly piece of the 3.
You know what? I almost want to leave it at that, because I don't want to say anything negative about another vendor, because they're all good companies. And we got some friendly comments from a lot of the nearby communities and stuff, but let's stop at that then, okay? Yeah. But no, Leon, I really appreciate your efforts in doing comparative shopping for us and stuff then, too, because a lot of this stuff, again, to some folks, this might be Chinese, but, data retention is everything these days and stuff here, too, so,
I think it's a good tool, I can tell you that.
okay. Well, thank you very much, Leanne, and thanks for being out here tonight, too. I didn't know you were coming, but thanks, this is important to us, really. This is certainly a significant expense, and I appreciate your professional opinion. Thanks. We did have a motion.
Can I say one more?
Absolutely, sure.
When it comes to
Oh.
license plate readers,
Yeah, go ahead. Wait, I got to get you on a mic, though.
Well, it's a side topic, though. We've
Oh.
got a motion and a second on this
topic of
topic.
license plate
Oh,
readers.
no, I'm sorry, Leanne, I got to stay on this right here. Yeah, thank you. We can talk about unfinished business real quick before we get done. Okay. We had a motion and a second. Any other questions real quick before we vote on this? Okay. Can you call the roll, please?
Roll call number 4 to approve item G, approval of purchase of Brightly Asset Management Software for $65,228.02 for a 3-year contract, including implementation costs of $9,596.33. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin.
No.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas Esparza.
Yes.
Trustee Peretta.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve item G.
All right, thank you. We'll go to the next item, letter J, was the approval of a new gas, and when I say gas, this is natural gas contract, recommendation with motion to allow the mayor to approve a contract if prices fluctuate by 5 cents per therm. New pricing to be delivered, we had that announced earlier, and Joyce, for the record again, is what, 66 cents right now?
66 is the best price we have
Okay.
currently, but that can change. I
Okay.
mean, that was 5 o'clock this afternoon, so it's probably different already.
Okay.
But the 66 is also locking us into a 3-year contract,
Correct.
which personally I don't agree with doing at this point in time.
What was the difference in contracts, or is there a 1-year, 3-year?
There's a
Oh, there's a
12-month,
1 year for
18-month, 24, and 36.
There's a 12-month, 18-month, 24-month, and 36-month.
Okay, I didn't have the whole chart in front of me. Okay. No, you didn't give me one, I'm sorry, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. Shooting from the hip, Joyce, so.
Thank you.
I have one, yeah.
Okay, so right now, a 12-month contract would be roughly 86 cents per therm. 18-month contract is 76 cents per therm. The 24-month contract would be 72 cents per therm. And certainly the 36-month contract we're talking about here is 66 per therm. So let's just put it this way, give you a range. A 12-month contract, they say in here that an annual contract expense would be $125,000, $125,400 versus $97,800 for the 3-year contract. But before we, again, I want to get ahead of ourselves. I got a standpoint as far as protocol here. With letter J that I just read off, did we have a motion and a second to approve the way it's written now?
A motion.
Second.
Let's go back to our questions then. Trustee McLaurin, go ahead. Did you want to say more on this?
Well, our current contract, which is expiring, we're at 30 cents a therm. And the current market rate as presented here is at $1.22. So even at the 86 cents ballpark, it's still a savings over the current market rate. But I also think based on the volatility of the market, to lock into a 36-month rate that is more than double what we're currently paying just doesn't seem to make sense financially.
So as the trustee just said, our current provider has this locked in at it's 30 cents per therm right now, and that contract ends September 2022. This is a fixed choice product, and the June 22 utility rate was $1.22. But again, right now they're saying this is 66 cents. for a 3-year contract per term. And again,
But even if the price then comes back down to 50, 40, 30, we'd still continue to be paying the 66, and I just personally don't think it's a smart move at this time.
okay. Any other comment on this? Trustee, go ahead.
I had a question. If we do grant the approval, what are we granting the time frame of?
Well, that's
Is
why
it 3, 12, or 24?
Right now,
Yeah.
it's-
By
Specify.
choosing the price on this list,
It's 36.
It would be 36?
it would be 36 for the 66 cents. Again, with a ability, a range for the mayor to sign, even if it changes from that, which it will.
Joyce, do you recall the last time we discussed this, what the number was?
I have looked at so many.
Yeah, that was at least a month ago that we talked about this
It was a while
last.
back. I can go.
Any other comment from the trustees? Good, Joyce, real quick, if you can find that.
I can't get to it from here.
Oh, I see, okay.
You
All
should
right.
talk to the IT guy.
Yes, I need internet access.
All right, then I'm going to stand on our agenda the way it's written. We did have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Roll call number 5 to approve item J, approval of new gas contract recommendation with motion to allow the mayor to approve contract if prices fluctuate by 5 cents per therm. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin.
No.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas-Barza.
Yes.
Trustee Peretta.
Yes.
Motion carries to approve item J.
All right, thank you. And then we'll go to this last item, letter R. Was the approval to award a contract for the Heritage One fence replacement to the lowest bidder, Fence Masters Incorporated, for an amount of $240,609. And again, please understand, this is, Roger, roughly what, 1,000 feet of fence, more or less?
It's roughly 1,000 linear feet of fencing, wrought iron fencing.
1,000 linear feet of solid wrought iron fencing, about 6 foot tall?
That is correct.
Okay.
How much do we budget for?
70.
I believe we were at 150, and then after we received the bids, we raised it to 250 to cover the cost.
So we originally, because Mike Rogers not mic'd up, but we originally budgeted for 150,000, and we did amend that, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Again, before we do more questions, it's always good to stay in with proper procedure here. So did we have a motion and a second to approve letter R the way it's written now? All right, and then I would allow questions on this before we let it die or whatever. Did anyone have questions on this? No? So motion, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the biggest question, I think, is just based on the costs, is this something that we really need to do at this time, or is it in our best interest to postpone?
So, Roger, you and I were talking about this a little bit last week. Can you get on a mic, please? Thanks. So, you and I talked about this a little bit last week. Can we, how do we, obviously, optimally, we'd like to see the fence go back up. We can certainly clean up what's there. We took down all the bad fencing that was in bad condition, but that, certainly we can clean up what still stands, whether it even means removing a post just for, again, visually optics at this point yet, too. Are you hearing anything in this market? Nobody's got a crystal ball, but are you hearing anything when these prices might level out a little bit or come down at all?
I've talked to 2 companies. They don't foresee it coming down within the next year and a half to 2 years. I did talk to the gentleman that I typically would use that gave me the original price. Obviously, he could not do the work because he couldn't do it in the timeline because he doesn't have adequate employees. But he did recommend Fence Masters, which was the low bidder. He said that they do good work, and he would recommend it, but he said he has noticed increase in pricing. He knows that cost of labor is going to go up over the next 2 to 3 years. If he could do it, he would, but he said obviously the cost would have gone up from that 120, his original quote of 125. He said right now he would probably be about 168 to 170. But he obviously cannot do the work. We could save, I think it was $28,000. It would not be my recommendation, but they did also give a second recommendation, or second quote, minus $28,000, where they would bolt the fence. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I am willing to attempt it.
I agree. I don't like the surface applied anything. You know, I mean, that's going to come loose. And if somebody hits that thing with a snowplow or a car for any reason.
We're going to hit it with a snowplow every single year. And I mean, the fence that's there was put in 99. It's obviously lasted us a considerable amount of time.
You know, there are certain things, like we approved that common area paint job that was, and Roger did find out after that when we did that 5 years or so ago, that was more like 119.
That is correct.
It was almost 20,000 less than when we had the conversation, but you found better records to support. I never had a chance to share it with the board. But we paid a better, more expensive, rather, fee to get all those common areas done in 15 buildings, because certainly we're not going to wait a year and a half to paint the areas that need to be addressed. Something like this is not really just aesthetics, because it does provide a safety element at the same time. I just want to bring it up for discussion. I'm not opposed to it. I just want to bring it up for discussion for the board. And, you know, you folks can decide if you want to do this work at this time. That's all.
We have received multiple complaints since we've taken the fence down because people feel that it's unsecure. We did take the whole west side fence down, except for probably 6 posts that still remain. But again, that's what I'm hearing from the seniors and what Ken is also hearing.
It's just that it's easier to pass through the facility as
Correct.
opposed to going to, you'd have to walk a block to get around it, let's put it that way, so. So if there is a motion in a second, we'd still entertain that, otherwise this is going to die for lack of one. All right, then at this time, it's going to die for lack of a second, Raj. But I think what we need to do is certainly we need to stay on top of this, and obviously let's watch the market. Let's, you know, I think a great thing too is how many RFPs did we receive?
We went out 3 times to bid, and this last time we did receive just the 3.
And just so we can monitor, we're not going to, it's got to be a fair bidding process all the time too, but can you inform the folks, especially, certainly fence masters, that at this time we're not approving it right now, not that it couldn't happen in a few months, but if you can let some of those vendors know to keep us informed when they see the market change, and we're happy to revisit this at that time.
I'm typically in contact with Brian, so I will reach out to him and tell him, hey, if you see something where fluctuation where it comes down, please notify me.
Okay, and the other reason I think
maybe we should take a look at a different RFP or a different
options
type.
on the fence.
Well, I actually did talk to Roger about that too, and first, because Trustee Navarro, you had a nice idea with some brickwork and that. If Roger, you felt it might be more expensive?
I think the brickwork is going to be more expensive. I think the issue with
stand up to
putting up a
snowplows.
different type of fence, it's not going to withstand the abuse that we do in the wintertime. We typically are pushing snow into that fence. That's why we use the slatted fence to push the snow through it and then go up and over it.
22 years the fence lasted, which is a long time. But to your point that you had just made, is that you're going to continue to hit the fence. Maybe we should look at something else. Maybe we should take a look at some sort of landscaping to raise that, a berm or, whatever, to sit there and delineate. If we sit there and we spend this dollar amount every 20 years, it's a whole bunch of money.
I agree. Like, I was just Googling right now, like hedges. Like, I know that there's a residential property that has beautiful hedges, but they have thorns. If you try to cross through them and so forth. So a combination of maybe landscaping and some fencing in like key areas where there is a need, because in one of the heritage complexes there is an apartment complex, and they have an open parking lot. There are no fences around there, and maybe for that reason, just for plowing, it's constantly every year taking a beating. It's just constant replacement.
And I can appreciate, and I'm all about security for our seniors, but the reality is that the fence stopped people from cutting through, but there was driveways that was wide open, and if somebody wanted to walk through, they could.
There are 20-foot openings, and they will allow people to walk through.
Right.
We've caught many people in there and asked them to leave all the time, so.
Right. And we're going to continue to do so no matter what fence we put up there.
All right, well, again, let's monitor that, and if you see the market looking better, certainly let's bring it back and talk. In the meantime, we can certainly take a look at some ideas on optional,
More than happy to.
yeah, alternatives.
Thank you, Mayor.
You
Thanks,
too.
Board.
Thanks. All right, and then, all right, so that, clerk, that's going to die rather for lack of a motion, okay? Did anybody have any unfinished business? Leon, you wanted to tell us something real quick?
The only thing I wanted to mention was about the license plate readers.
Okay.
I was working with Sean and Jay on the
Sure.
So when we were working on that, he had mentioned it was brought up a few times in the past. So we go out to quote many times over these past few years, or maybe more than once or twice, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 times over a 5-year period. Is there a reason why? I guess I just had that was my only question about, like the RFQ with the license plate readers. They're very animate about how much good it would do for the village.
I think, you know what, Leon, over the last couple of years, we found that red light camera programs weren't very popular, so we didn't reintroduce those in town. It's good old-fashioned, let's attract and retain a lot of business. Let's just, basically it's just good old-fashioned business rather than rely. We would never put citations on the back of people to make our bills. So we're just doing business straight up as far as that goes. But now with today's technology and these license plate readers, we're kind of just evaluating, rather than running up to the door, like anything else. When big screen TVs came out, everybody ran out and bought one right away, but these prices got a little more competitive and they leveled off after a little bit, and I think that was the only reason. I think we came to a point where there's some good companies out there, and I know the point the chief always made was he wanted to mesh with a couple of nearby communities where their equipment kind of spoke to each other. Trustee Dalzell is big on software development. Maybe you know better, Rick. Do you have a better explanation for it?
I guess I'm not sure on what your question is. Is that...
My question is, I know there's many villages that are adopting this, and it's come up, but it seems to get passed over. I understand. So my question now is, at this point in time, why would you want to keep passing something up?
But we approved
Well, we just approved it just now, too.
Yeah, it's set, but my own personal thing is that it's a price point. So you can do this, I know for a fact, a lot less expensive than what we just authorized. And I regret expending the dollar amount. I wholly approve of the technology and the reasons for it. I just, there's different ways to go about this, and it pains me to expend the dollars that we just did. But with regards to the technology and the methodology, so to run it on your own, it may be expensive. To share the technologies, as the mayor is talking, with some other communities, that's helpful. Whether Alsip does this or doesn't do this, they still have the ability of sharing the other communities' information.
Right.
This doesn't preempt it at all.
Yeah, my question was more for, I guess, the people who may watch this, may want to understand what else.
Oh, exactly. And again, it's getting to be a popular product. I know there was a big story in the paper just a couple weeks ago. Oak Lawn just adopted a program. They haven't gotten it yet. And many, as Trustee Dalzell said, many of the surrounding communities are going to this now, too. There's going to be some communities that are going to be so loaded up with cameras between red lights and these and everything else yet, too. But it's all in the interest of protecting our community and making it a safe place and stuff yet, too. So, yeah. So we believe this is a direct product that can certainly increase the safety of our community, and hopefully this all shakes out really well. But thank you for your work on this, seriously. You know, there's a lot of stuff you got to look at in this kind of thing yet, too. All right. Anybody have any new business? Then can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
We're going to adjourn this meeting at 9 p.m., and thank you for being with us this evening, too. Enjoy the rest of your night.